Salve discipuli. We're going to finish off this week, Daedalus and Icarus, through night 230 today, and that means we're only going to have about 5 more lines after this video, so we're super close to the ending, and today is time for the super dramatic end of Icarus. So as always, we're going to start off with our themes. Remember, we're thinking about what has happened as a result of Daedalus and Icarus doing things beyond human abilities, what's happened as a result of them having perhaps an inappropriate relationship as father and son, and of course, how their own individual flaws have led to their own particular downfalls. And we, of course, are headed to the fall of Icarus, and often depicted in Renaissance and later European art, very popular as wall paintings and ceiling paintings, which you see an example of here. And what's even cool in this one is you can make out the sun god as well up at the upper portion of the image. And I really like how the artist chose to do some lighting here, that you have the brightness of the sun up top, and then down in the clouds surrounding Daedalus, the darkness, and Icarus surrounded by some darkness as he's falling as well. Very poignant in the imagery. Okay, so let's pick up, and remember last we left off, we had him flying, and they were off course, right? And so now we continue with Wikinia as our subject. So this is a noun form of this word. You may have seen wikinus, an adjective meaning nearby. This is the IA makes it a noun, right? So it's the nearness of the rapidi solis, here is genitive, of the scorching sun. And then our verb is mole, softened, the odoratas, and then we have to go to keras for the rest of the direct object. So the fragrant wax. And then we have a little phrase here, which we may have talked about this while, but it's been a while. This is what we call an appositive phrase, or we say that this phrase is in apposition to a particular word. This phrase is in apposition to keras. What does that mean? Well, it translates the shackles of the feathers, as you can see there. It's describing what the wax is. With another noun phrase. So it's not an adjective, so it's not going to be one-to-one agreement, but they will have the same case, right? So this is also accusative winkla, right? So we're describing the wax as shackles. It's essentially a metaphor, right? The shackles of the feathers. So there's a little bit of that going on here. It's not always that apposition is a metaphor. I don't want you to get confused with that. But it will be a noun phrase that describes things. So if you're curious more about apposition, I'm going to try to find a video to help you out with that. But another example might be something like Miss L, your Latin teacher, is the best, right? Your Latin teacher is the appositive phrase in there, further explaining who Miss L is. It's not an adjective, right? It's a noun phrase explaining what something is. So that's what apposition is. Right. So we continue. All right, so the sun, the nearness of the sun softened the wax, which is the bonds, the shackles of the feathers. And then we have kerat tabu erot, the wax had melted away. We switched to pluperfect tense. Then we switched to perfect tense, right? And illa is our new subject, that one, meaning the boy, Icarus, shakes, we go to present tense, his bare arms, right? His nudos lacertos. And then we have a present active participle here. The NS gives that away. That's the nominative form for a present active participle. It's going to take a direct object in the ablative case, because kario takes the ablative case for its direct object. And lacking, so meaning Icarus lacking, a remigio. Here, remigium can sometimes mean oars. Here, though, it's not oars that Icarus is using to get around, it's his wings. So lacking a set of wings. He non percipe, he does not catch ulas auros, any breezes. So this is the nice Latin here. It's very straightforward, no weird subordinate clauses, which is excellent. Here's, though, where it's going to get weird, as if you couldn't tell by the size of the massive note that I have over here. So first off, ora and clamantia are the subjects of excipiuntur. So ora is nice and easy. It means mouth, right? So his mouth. And then we have clamantia, which is a little trickier, right? This is coming from clomo, clamare, which means to shout. It's been made into a present active participle by the NT, clamantia, shouting, right? It's neuter plural nominative, so it's being used what we call substantively, and I'm going to try to find a video on substantive uses of adjectives to help you out there as well. We've seen this before, the substitute use of the adjective, where you take an adjective and you can basically use it as a noun, right? So it's the shouts, right? However, we probably want to keep it shouting here because it's taking a direct object. What is Icarus shouting? So his mouth and his shouting. What's he shouting? He's shouting his nomen of his patrium, his father's name. So Icarus's mouth, and his shouting of his father's name are swallowed up, are taken up by the Caerulea aqua, by the blue sea. We get the English word cerulean from Caerulea there. So he drowns, right? Then we have a little relative clause here. So quae is referring to the aqua, the sea, which thraxit took its nomen, its name, ab illo, from him. So him here, illo, meaning Icarus. I do think it's beautiful how Ovid has done this with nomen in both lines, that we have Icarus drowning, right, as he's shouting his father's name, which is just supremely tragic and very vivid. I'm sure you can imagine this happening in your heads if you want to. Maybe you don't want to imagine that. But then what he does with nomen here, right, he's swallowed up by the water, the Icarian Sea, which we'll look at on a map in a minute again. And then, he's shouting a name, and the sea is now taking a name, a different name, right? Because obviously Icarus is shouting father, Daedalus, whatever, and the sea is going to take Icarus's name. But it's a very little clever play on words here, if you catch it. So that's our text for today. That's it. So pause here. Make sure you get the notes down. There's some interesting things going on with apposition in line 226. Make sure you know who those pronouns are, who those illes are. Make sure you get that carens is a present active participle. So it's clamantia. We got an objective genitive with patrium, right? The name of his father. And then a little relative clause there at the end. That's our only subordinate clause, is that little relative clause. So make sure you got all that down. If you have questions, let me know. We're going to look at some pictures here. So again, we've got the islands. So if you remember from last time, they were flying from Crete down here. And they were flying up through this area, right? So they passed Paros and Delos, which are over on this side. And they were right around near Samos, Lebanthos, and Kylimne are up here, or down here rather. And this island is going to get named after Icarus, as well as this water around here. So this is where Icarus goes down. And remember, they were off course. They should have gone, Knossos would have been down here. They should have gone straight to Athens. Right? So passing by Delos and Paros, they should have kept them on the other side. They started going off this way. Problematic. So don't be afraid to use Google Maps, guys. Ask for directions. All right. Your assignment, guys, you're just going to head to Google Classroom, complete the Google Form assignment for Daedalus and Icarus, lines 225 to 230. And know that we are so very close to the end of Daedalus and Icarus. That's it for today.